This is an introduction to using C3Digital Studio from Kazam 3D. For the purpose of this demo, we'll start with an empty scene. Next, we load the C3Digital Studio set. This loads a basic lighting setup, which includes a Fresnel light, a scrim, a ceiling diffuser, a soft light, a round studio floor to serve as a light bounce, and a large cushion prop. The prop is useful for adjusting light in your scene and can also be used as a basic furniture prop for your character to interact with. Now we'll load Addie for Genesis 8 into our scene. As you can see, although there is a lot of light on her, Addie does not look washed out, and there is lots of depth in the image. This is a result of different lights using different luminance and speed characteristics being focused on the subject. While HDRIs are very useful in Daz Studio, they do suffer from the limitation of not allowing the user control over light outside of its intensity and sometimes direction. Independent light sources are vital to providing depth and feel to an image. Now let's experiment with the Fresnel light settings and explain the shadows you see falling across Addie. At this point, you might wish to use the included render script, which reduces environment lighting to 0. While it isn't necessary to do this, it is a very useful setting for portrait shots or scenes which have an intimate feel to them. For this demo, we'll apply it to better demonstrate certain aspects of the lights included in C3Digital Studio. The interesting shadows are being cast by what is called a scrim. A scrim is almost any kind of object, but normally a screen, which is translucent and is placed in front of the main light source and therefore creates shadow on the subject. A scrim can also be placed in front of the camera for further interesting effects. Our scrim comes with a variety of pre-made textures. You can also invent your own. To do so, simply convert any image in your favorite image editor to a grayscale image and set the contrast sufficiently high to give good differentiation in the image. Then, save this image, and in Daz Studio, make this image the image map for your cutout opacity on the scrim. Leave the opacity strength at 1 to start, but if you decide you would like to mute the shadow effect, use the opacity slider to make the image less opaque. Now let's talk about the Fresnel light. I am mispronouncing that, by the way. But because I'm only an AI voice speaking English rather than French, we'll just have to live with it. As you can tell, I am at the mercy of Kazam's lively sense of humor, so bear with us. For this asset, Kazam painstakingly modeled a Fresnel lens in Blender and made it part of this light. He also morphed the lens to give it some interesting properties which would not be possible in the real world. These features are available by selecting the Fresnel light in the Scene tab and using the morphs you will find there to adjust beam width and beam dispersion. Providing overall ambient light is the ceiling diffuser. This prop is a mesh light in the shape of a cylinder with its own section of ceiling, which serves as a light bounce. Load as many of these as you feel are necessary into your scene, and space them out to give the type of illumination you are looking for. Soft lights are aptly named because they provide a wide, soft light on your subject. These lights are meant to serve mainly as light fill, but in the right environment can provide a diffuse, romantic touch to your subject. These lights, as well as the Fresnel light, are parented to cameras which you can control in your auxiliary viewport in order to make focusing and placing your lights easy. In overview, C3Digital Studio is a versatile and scalable lighting environment. As in a real photography studio, you can use any number of lighting assets in any strength and position to achieve a number of results which is limited only by your imagination. C3Digital Studio is simple to use, and even if you are unfamiliar with studio lighting, will have you rendering like a professional in no time. Thanks for watching this introduction to C3Digital Studio. As always, happy rendering!